They said I couldn't do it. They said if I was reading 13 books at the same time, there is no way that I would be halfway to my non existent reading goal by the end of June 2025. Okay, I'm not sure who they is and who was actually saying this, but it sounds very menacing, doesn't it? In any case, I have actually been reading about 12 to 13 books at a time, and I have hit that goal, which was sort of non existent, but actually is existent. And also have a bunch of other fun stuff that just happened in the second quarter. So, this is my invitation to all of you out there who are listening and watching to Author Culture. This is my second quarter roundup for 2025, where I'm going to chat a bit about what's been going on with my writing, with my latest book that's going to be coming out soon as of this recording, and also what's in store next, and my book haul and some geekish catch up with that and other fun shenanigans. So, this is a bit of a chatty, happy vlog style wrap up, roundup. Going to be sharing some things I learned along the way. It's going to be fun, informal, and I really invite you to come along on this journey with me as I recap the second quarter of 2025. This is Janeen Ippolito. Let's chat. And welcome back to the Author Culture Podcast, where we are all about helping ambitious science fiction and fantasy authors just like you reach your unique, sustainable success in a chaotic publishing world. And of course, if you're an enthusiastic reader who's along for the ride, that's great too, because authors are readers and readers can be authors, and it's all one fun, awesome community here. And I'm excited to have you here today. So, this is one of my shameless quarterly roundups, and I am excited to share a bit with you about how my journey's been going. A lot of times on this podcast or YouTube channel, whichever you are listening or watching this video or episode on, I'm talking about tips for y'all. I'm talking about updates in the industry and all of that. But this is one of those episodes where you get to pop behind the scenes and hear a little bit about what's going on with my own journey, because I'm not just here telling y'all things and sharing my experience as an editor and publisher and all of that. I'm also actively in the trenches as a writer. I have written over 25 books and going strong on there. So I'm not just here talking to you from an armchair or as an experienced coach. I'm also in the trenches with you, writing the books, reading the books, and hanging out in this fantastic science fiction and fantasy author culture we find ourselves in. So, first off, I have a book coming out next week, really soon. Super excited for it. Might have actually bumped up the release date because I can. And here is the awesome proof copy of it. I actually have paperbacks coming in the mail, but they're not here yet. So you get to look at the wonderful Amazon not for resale gray strip around it. But I'm still super, super excited about this. The Verisim Blade has been a really long haul to write, especially for me. Again, I know you're out there thinking, wow, I'm working on a book for 3 years, Janeen. I sort of do that. I work on a bunch of different projects at the same time, and then whichever one is done is kind of done. And I do that in a very intentional way, but it also sounds chaotic. It's organized chaos. It works for me. But this one in particular, in terms of actual, nose to the grindstone writing, has been 10 months of that. And I am so glad it is here. I am very excited. This beautiful cover was done by Sabrina Watts of Enchanted Ink Studio. I loved how she nailed it. A lot of times with urban fantasies, you see like very glowy, super shiny stuff. But because this book is about artifact hunters and the character is a little more grounded, I wanted something that had that epic action feel to it, but also wasn't quite so glowy. She's not a high or heavy magic user like my character of Alice in the Steel City Genie series. She also has to rely a lot on her physical capabilities and train and that kind of stuff, because phoenixes, yes, they can regenerate, but they're not super OP except for that. So they can definitely get beat up quite a bit and everything. So anyway, I went for something that was a little bit more grounded looking, a little more of a bronzy kind of text. I love it. I love how the back turned out. You may not be aware of this, but I actually now request that designers when possible, just give me a full wrap, but leave the back blank. And then I do the back myself on Canva. And the reason is I update my blurb so frequently, depending on what's working and what's selling and what's connecting with readers, that having to always contact the cover designer and ask for updates over and over and over again got a bit tedious for me and the designers. So now I just ask for a full wrap with a blank back and I format it myself, which I'm really happy with how that turned out as well, except for the gray thing, which will be gone. So this has been a fantastic journey, and I am super excited to be at the end of this journey as well. This is a first in a standalone series, but especially because this goes along a main series, it's not super like you're going to enjoy it and want the next book if this is your thing. But also, everything resolves at the end of each book. There's no cliffhangers in this one. You are safe from that. And wait, I did something else really cool for this one. And by the way, for those who are just listening to this, you may want to hop over later and watch this on YouTube because it's going to be a little bit visual heavy as I'm showing off cool book covers and things. But I did something really cool for this one. I have learned over the last couple of years how to design journals and make journals. You can look up tutorials on YouTube for this. They have great templates and everything. And you can use KDP actually and produce low content books. And I mean, there's some people who like want to do like 50 or 100 or 150 low content books and actually make income that way. I've heard can be a good thing. This can be a bad thing. It varies. I'm not really talking about that because in my case, I write high content books, but I did want to have the opportunity to create journals because I love using journals. And so I've been working on that for the last couple of years. And I decided for this release, I was going to make a wonderful little custom Phoenix journal. So it has a Phoenix on the front and it has an ice dragon on the back. I'm really proud with how this turned out. It did take a bunch of different kinds of tweaks and manipulations on Canva to get this effect to work good. And yes, everything here is fair use kind of stuff. I'm very careful about that. Be careful about that. Don't just grab something on Google. Not a thing. But I did that. Has its nice lined pages. In part, I do actually love an unlined notebook as well, but Amazon won't let you print those. Anyway, so it is lined, but it is lined very nicely and it is soft. It's a soft one. So I went, here is glossy, but I did a nice soft one here. And for my pre-orders, which are still available until midnight of June 30th, 2025, for those pre-orders, every time you order a paperback pre-order through my PayHip store, you get one of these notebooks for free. They go together. It's really cool. And yes, it is a better deal than buying them individually through Amazon. I did the math because, I mean, come on, if you're going to pre-order something and get this, you want to actually be a good deal. So in this case, you pre-order this and you get this for free. Totally free edition. Put it in your shipping and you get that. So that was really fun to do. And as a fun add-on, I'm probably going to keep doing that for my other releases because it was really fun to combine the journals I've been creating with a book release. So have loved that. Really glad to get this book out into the world. Yay. Praise God. It's fun. It has a feral bookstore with squirrel shifters. It has a phoenix. It has her ice dragon husband. They are partners in crime of doing good stuff. They're like sort of ethical artifact hunters who get them to the right places and sometimes hang on to them and then sometimes rescue humans. And anyway, it's awesome. She is a side character in the Steel City Genie series, and I really loved what this book has resulted in. Hasn't always been the most fun to work on because I had to do some really intense world building and rewrites, but totally worth it. And here's the thing, whenever you're sort of restarting a series or you're starting off a series, it always takes a bit more, especially for sci-fi and fantasy, because you're having to also figure out all of the world building stuff. It just comes with it. So, Lord willing, the future books in the series should not take as long as this book. That being said, what about the next books? What am I writing next? Inquiring minds want to know, right? And what I'm working on is a surprise that I'm going to be revealing to my email newsletter subscribers first, because there really has to be a perk to being on my email newsletter list, right? I mean, besides the fact that if you sign up for my list, you're also going to get free short stories. You're also going to get exclusive excerpts. They've been getting excerpts from the Veracin Blade this entire time. It's fun. It's great. I only send out emails when I have cool stuff to share. Right now, it's been on a weekly basis, and there's been some really great deals and great excerpts and everything. It's short, it's sweet, it's fun. And I will be revealing on that newsletter what my next works in progress are. I will tease you out a little bit with that and say that I am in the business right now of finishing series. It is time. Before I work on even more series, I need to finish some series. And that is kind of my jam right now. So I am knee deep in that. It has been fun. It has been work. It has been great. And I look forward to sharing more with you. But if you want all the deets of that, definitely hop over to my email newsletter. You can subscribe to it in the description below on YouTube or on Apple or wherever else you are listening to this. Now, other than that, I am prepping for my first conference / convention of the season. So for me, it ended up where all of my conferences and conventions start in July and then go through the end of October. I know for a lot of y'all have already been doing conventions, February, March, April, that kind of stuff. But as God would have it, mine starts in July. That's okay because I've had a ton of extra work to do to prep for this. So it's been great to have that breather and not have that stress of being at a convention and saying the book is almost out, but not quite out. I'll get back to you. Take a pre-order. It's okay. The dog ate my homework. So my first conference / convention of the year is the Realm Makers Conference and Realm Makers Expo in Grand Rapids, Michigan at Devo's Place. I am super excited to be there from July 17th to July 20th or through July 20th because I'll be there through that Sunday. And I'll have my books on hand. I will have copies of The Varus and Blade. I'll have way more cool journals to sell, plus all of my other stuff. And I also have some neat new swag and shiny stuff that I'm going to be talking about there. If you want to see more of that, definitely make sure that you're following me on Instagram because that's where I tend to share little short videos with swag and that kind of stuff. But I'm excited. The Realm Makers Conference has been a fantastic part of my journey. I have gone to every single Realm Makers Conference since 2013. So this is my, 12th year? 12? I think it's 12th year. Anyway, I have been doing that. And this year they're also doing the Realm Expo, which is a whole convention. So they have the whole conference. But for all of y'all readers who are like, dude, I don't really want to go to a conference for a much lower price, you can go to the convention, the Realm Expo. They're going to have live readings of books. They're going to have Brett Weeks there. They're going to have SD Smith there, I think, of the Green Ember series. It's going to be great. And the big fun about Realm Makers is that it's a huge gathering of Christians who write science fiction and fantasy. Now, does that mean that we write Christian science fiction and fantasy? Nope. My personal focus is general market stuff. None of my stuff is incredibly overt. I include Christian characters. I have non-Christian characters. I have all kinds of fun stuff that happens in my books. But it is a really wonderful time to hang out with other Christian creatives and sell awesome books. And there's going to be really, really cool stuff at this Realm Expo. Realm Expo again, first year for the Realm Expo. So I keep thinking of conference, but there's the conference, the Realm Makers Conference, and the Realm Expo. And I'm so excited to be there. And I would love for y'all to show up and hang out and come find my table there in Artist Alley. I'm also mentoring for the Realm Makers Conference, which is also going to be fantastic. And I believe I'm doing a pitch prep session ahead of time online. So Scott and Becky, who run this whole show, do great, great stuff. And I cannot wait to show up there again. It's like a giant family reunion. And I have a cool costume. And I am super excited to talk about that, which will also be first shared on my email newsletter. I know, predictable. And also on my Instagram and Facebook. So different places have different stuff. So if you haven't already, you can feel free to follow me on Instagram. You can feel free to be on my email newsletter. This costume is fantastic. I have been anticipating it for years, and this was definitely the year to do it. And it's also one of my most comfy costumes. And as anyone who's done cosplay knows, comfort is where it's at. This particular costume has a helmet, and everyone was saying how this helmet was going to be the most uncomfortable thing, but I found one on Amazon that is comfortable and squishy, and I think I can tolerate for 3 hours at the awards banquet. So there. Anyway, super excited about that as well. So come to the Realm Makers Conference in Grand Rapids, Michigan at the Devos Place, one of those pronunciations. Also come and check out the Realm Expo. Again, if you're a writer, Realm Makers Conference is great. If you are a reader, come to the Expo and stock up on tons of books, and I would love to see you there. And we are on to the book haul. So, as I said, I have been reading an average of 12 to 13 books, and I've actually finished 25 of them so far. So halfway through the year, and I'm halfway through my unofficial, undeclared goal of 50 books that I'm still not going to completely officially declare, because then if I don't make it, I'll feel kind of bummed. And I also don't want the stress of having this goal that's actually not a major goal. But if I do hit 50, it's a nice big round number, and I'm okay with that. So I have read 25 books so far in theology, philosophy, tons of fiction. This has definitely been my year of urban fantasy and fairy tales. But I have also gotten through some books outside of my little happy comfort genres, which has been one of my goals and continues to be one of my goals, to make sure I am reading a wider variety of books. Now, in terms of books that really, really stuck with me out of those 25, and especially talking about science fiction and fantasy books, because that's what we talk about here on Author Culture, I'm going to evaluate this one in terms of world building that I really loved, because a lot of books can be great for a lot of reasons, and I can super enjoy them. But you know me, I'm a sucker for world building, and I love seeing it executed well in stories where it's humorous and done fantastically well, or it's super serious but also done well. So in terms of that, I really, really have enjoyed On the Edge by Alana Andrews. This is the first of the Edge series, and Alana Andrews is actually a husband and wife writing team. These ones were actually listed on a higher romance level versus urban fantasy, but actually I found that the romance was not that heavy in this, and it was a lot more urban fantasy, which I loved, especially because it was urban fantasy in the rural deep south, which you don't see done as much. And when you do see it, you see it in things that are more heavy paranormal kind of stuff, like the Dead Until Dark series. But in this one, it was gritty, it was earthy, but not too gritty or earthy. I love the characters. I love the main character and how she sticks with her family, and her sass and her grounded attitude and everything. I do love the male main character, who functions as a love interest, but he's also just a full, well rounded character. He's fantastic. If you were concerned about any kind of content, we're talking PG-13 here. And then I think there's like a page that you can just, you see it coming, you can skip to the next page, and you're good to go. No steam, etc. Like, that's up to you. Again, if you're like, I shall not skip pages, it should not have it in there, that's okay. But everything else in the book is just so fun, and the world building is so unique, that if you can stand to skip a page that you can easily see where the page is, you can easily skip it, I would do that, because it was just fantastic, and really, really glad I read that one. Also really loved Bard Tidings by Paul Regnier. This is fantasy, comedy, adventure. It felt a lot like a really fun, over-the-top D&D campaign, and I was just here for it. The cover is gorgeous. Paul is really great at writing humor and characterization into a story, but also making the story itself compelling. Really, really enjoyed this. Actually gave a copy to my mom for Mother's Day, and then she really enjoyed it. Need to have Paul on the show sometime, because I also want to read his next book. Really, really fun stuff. Highly recommend this book. Of course, we have Sunrise on the Reaping. I did a whole episode on that with the fantastic Laura L. Zimmerman. Suzanne Collins knocks it out of the park. The world building's great. It's gut-wrenching. This book is hot sauce, and you're like, why am I reading so much pain? But also it's really, really good and powerful and potent, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse, until a tiny glimmer of hope at the end, and you're just somehow okay with this. Plus, it has a gorgeous cover. So anyway, check out that video, Sunrise on the Reaping, that I did with Laura L. Zimmerman. It was a live stream. We had some fun tech things, so she ended up like talking for 10 minutes and had a great conversation with our chat box. So you want to check that out. And of course, I do have to mention All the Wild Hearts by J.M. Hackman. I had her on the show talking about sci-fi fairy tales, and her newest release, All the Wild Hearts, which is a fairy tale retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. It's well executed. It's a short, sweet novella, and I do have to give it props for retelling Little Red Riding Hood in a sci-fi setting, which you just don't see very often. And I do love me some sci-fi augmented shifter werewolf kind of weird thing stuff done in a awesome way. Like she does it nicely and I appreciate that. So definitely enjoyed that one. And then I did a reread of World Diver by Haley M. Hansen. This book was actually published by Uncommon Universes Press 3 or 4 years ago when that press was open. I wanted to give it a reread because she refreshed it and did fun stuff with it. And I am happy to say this book is fantastic. If you love a good, snarky first person POV, this book brings it. I love the STEM stuff. I love having this like big world diving robot in there. The snark is on point, the feels are on point, and I am looking forward to rereading the rest of this trilogy. Now, for nonfiction, I finished Pen to Print by EJ Kitchens, who I did have on the podcast last year, and I need to get her episode back up on YouTube. But anyway, we did a great episode. EJ and I talked about what it takes to finish a book and her top tips for finishing your first draft. I went through Pen to Print. This is a thick book. And just so you know, I never recommend a book, especially a nonfiction book, unless I have gone through every single page, which I did. And this is a really great beginner guide book. She covers a massive breadth of topics. Love it, love it, love it. Told her she must come on the podcast again to talk about something with publishing, writing, something fun with that. We're going to just have a blast with it. She's going to pitch me some ideas and it's going to be great. But yes, Pen to Print, did finish that one. And yes, I am currently reading another 13 books, some of which were carryovers from the last one. Still working through Dune. That's in a reading group, and my reading buddy and I have been kind of crazy. My reading buddy is also my editor, and so you know how I was crazily finishing the Verison Blade. She also was working with me to get the edits done on that, and now she's going off and having an amazing summer as an amazing mom and wife and person who has a giant garden and lots of blueberries and reads amazing books. But anyway, we are still working through Dune. And in terms of other books I'm currently reading on that giant list, Winter's Maiden by Morgan L. Bussey. Really enjoying this. It's kind of wonderful to read a book that's really cold when it's nice and hot outside, because then I don't feel dark and sad like I do in winter because it's warm outside. So I'm like, oh, it's like air conditioning. Anyway, I am enjoying this thoroughly. I love being a downtrodden warrior maiden who is in horrible situations and stabby and all of those fun things. So, reading this one. Also reading Ties of Deception by Alice Avigno, which I am very much enjoying. It's a Hades and Persephone retelling, which I am picky about. But this one is doing really fun things with like life magic and shadow magic and all those concepts, and I'm really down for that world building. So I have been enjoying it so far. I'm also reading my first game lit / lit RPG, Domestication by Seth Ring, and this book is the lit RPG, gamey, little house on the prairie, doomy, leveling up, fun, cozy, brain massaging kind of book that I never knew I needed. And I've actually been enjoying reading it before bed because, yes, it's kind of, I mean, it has stuff that happens in it, but it's also leveling up, which is very soothing. And he's setting up a farm, which is also really oddly soothing. And I have played a number of RPG games on video games. It's one of my favorite kind of games to play with my husband, but it was really fun to kind of read that whole concept in a book and get the in jokes and everything. So I have really been enjoying that, and I look forward to checking out more lit RPG and or game lit stuff. It's a genre I'm not as familiar with, but it has been fun to explore. For my hot sauce, I am reading The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is a library book, and I have the rest of them as well from the library. And yeah, it's hot sauce, as in like everything in fairy is bad. It's kind of like, you know, dystopian, all the characters are bad, except it's also fae, which I think when you're talking about fae books, if the fae are corrupt, like I'm not sure if there's a fae court that isn't dystopian, which is probably why I like it. The main character is completely emotionally clueless and very stabby, which, you know, I like that kind of character too. The world building is great. Very harsh charm to her stories that I really am enjoying. It's hot sauce. It is Doom. I am probably going to finish this series very soon. I have been slightly distracted by working on my next book, because that book wants to be written very fast and it's a very happy, bouncy, kind of adventurous book. And then at the end of it, I'm like, I don't know if I want to read Doom right now. I mean, Holly Black writes great Doom books, but also I just come out of this really happy place. I don't know. Anyway, author problems. And for nonfiction, I am going to be starting On Magic and Miracles by Marion A. Jacobs. I got a review copy of this from the publisher. It is a very pretty cover. I hope you appreciate it. This is a very, very pretty cover. Again, if you're listening to this, hop over on YouTube and watch this if you can, and just adore the beautiful cover. I am interested on what she has to say about that. There isn't a ton of stuff about Christian theology and magic that isn't like hashtag it's evil or hashtag everything is fine. So I'm kind of curious to see what kind of focus she has on that. And yeah, so we're going to give this a try. And I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of stuff she has to say. So, awesome listeners and viewers and hanger outers and fantastical people, what's been on your TBR lately? What's a book that you just finished that you absolutely thoroughly enjoyed? Will I see you at Realm Makers? All of these are great questions that I would love to have your answers to in a comment on YouTube or on Spotify or on the social media post for this or on Substack or wherever you listen to this. And if you are not subscribed to those places, please do, because then you will never miss an episode. And I would hate for you to miss the great episodes we have coming up. We have a fantastic one on my quirkiest tips for surviving writers' conferences. We're also going to have the amazing JJ Johnson on the show on a live stream. I mentioned we're going to have EJ Kitchens back on the show. We're going to have some other great authors coming on the show. And I'm trying to finagle some more live in the moment content when I go to conventions and conferences. So you may be getting some stuff there too, where I'm just like stalking around with my phone and my cool lav mics and talking to authors and readers and sharing all that with you as well. For now, this is Janeen Ippolito of Author Culture. Go forth and be awesome.